What's up, everyone? Ben Barrows, aka Random Crown, back for part 3 of the $11 Sunday Storm hand history review. If y'all remember from part 2, we had Jack 8 suited, and we defended the big blind after we got an open from cutoff here, or excuse me, the hijack and the small blind call. We had the 2 pair, we got it in on the turn. And if you don't remember that, that means you haven't seen all part 2, so I urge you to go back, check that out, and part 1 if you haven't seen it, so you can be all properly caught up to speed. So now we have queens in the big blind. Facing an all-in from under the gun. +2, super standard call. We just flop quad queens. Easy game. Shippity dip. And let's see. 7, 4, 10. Let's see. Jack again. He's fold the gun. Queen 8 here. Probably, yeah. We just fold like our ships. A6 here now in the small blind. And we easily ship it in, blind versus blind. About 11 blind specters, super standard. Let's see. 10 jack here now on the hijack. We end up making kind of a loose open. We do so because we cover the cutoff and the button by a lot. I mean, like, basically they have 10 blinds or less, so like the button has like 10.5 blinds, the cutoff has like a little less than 9 blinds, a little more than 8 blinds. So yeah, we call with the intention, excuse me, raise with the intention of calling off a jam from the cutoff, and we were on the fence about calling the button shove. Kind of depended on, I guess, how quickly they shoved. If they like snap shoved, then I suppose we would fold just because they're going to be that much stronger. I don't know, I think we can still talk ourselves into a call though, because it's around 10 blinds and yeah, we're getting okay out to 10 jack. But that is exactly the reason why we should not be raising in 10 jack here, because we do not want to be committed against these 2 players. Like, if this was a bounty tournament, it would be acceptable because at least there's direct money to be won whenever we bust them, but this is just a freeze out, you know, a regular tournament, so there is no bounty on the line, so it's not the best idea to commit yourself with jack high against stacks that could easily go all in on top of your raise. So I think, yeah, folding here is for the best. If we were suited, it would be a standard open and call both stacks, but I think since we're offsuit, we just want to avoid having to be committed to the pot when they go all in, but we just figured that they were going to fold enough or go all in with wide enough ranges that 10 jack still fares okay. But I think once you consider, yeah, the small blind has a stack that can easily ship in over top as well, and yeah, we cannot call that at all. And the big blind covers, you know, I think this is just a bad spot to raise. But for some reason in game, we, you know, I guess we're playing a lot of tables, and maybe thought we were the cutoff rather than the hijack, because then it becomes a much more acceptable raise. And so we decided to just open it up. Still not the worst, you know, raise, but like it's not the best either. So I think, yeah, in general, it's going to be better to fold the way the stacks are, but you know, once we raise, we gotta call this 8.5 blind stack, you know, that shows in from the cutoff. So we do. We are fortunate to run a runner 2 pair against their dominating 10, and they actually flopped the flush draw too, so we had a, I think, a non-club 10 or jack, and we get both, so we ran pretty well in that hand. Let's see. Jack 10 again here on the cutoff. Folds to us, we open it up. Wow, we decided to open limp. Interesting play. I suppose that, yeah, we figure that the button and the big blind can easily just jam over us with those stack sizes, so we just want to open limp to yeah, just lose less whenever they go all in, and yeah, just develop an open limping strategy, so we can start limping aces and it not look like we're inducing. We got to have some hands that we're folding to raises, like some sort of connected type hand. Jack 10's a good one to do it with. Maybe something like 6-7 suited. I think maybe like ace X suited, like ace 3 suited or something. But I think ace 3 suited is probably play better as a jam, the way the stacks are arranged. But regardless, we decided to just open limp and go there. I think it's fine. I think raising is also acceptable. But I do like the idea behind open limping. That way we lose less whenever the button or big blind decides to go all in. And we're calling the small blinds jam regardless, since they only have 7 blinds. And button small blind fold, big blind checks. We get a king high board. We just bet about third pot, take it down. So just the same as if we raised pre and everyone had folded. King queen now. On the low jack, standard raisey daisy, and we shippity dip the bleezies. Ace 9 suited down, small blinds is playable. So we got a button open. We decided to just flat and small rather than 3-bet or fold. Folding's too nitty. They are just going to be opening way wider than ace 9 suited here, so we got to see a flop at least. We don't really want to 3-bet either. The button does cover us by a fair amount, like more than double. So we don't want to play a bloated pot out of position against them, make it kind of tough on us. And when we 3-bet, we're committed to the big blind, which is kind of disastrous whenever they get it in, against the 3-bet, because they have no fold equity, so anything they're shoving there is just going to be better than ace 9. But when we flat, we allow the big blind to shove worse hands, like the button opens, small blind calls. They're sitting in the BB with like jack queen. They got like ace 5 suited. They got like king jack. These are all hands that could easily just ship it in, and we are ahead of them. So we want to keep those hands in their range, whereas when we 3-bet, all those hands fold. So by calling, we are setting up a good squeeze opportunity for the big blind, with hands that ace 9 suited is ahead of. So just creates a good opportunity for us whenever they get it in. But and they do something different than we expected. They 3-bet. They just 3-bet rather than 3-bet shippity dip it. So we actually find a fold because their 3-bet looks uber strong. They raise half their stack rather than go all in, and some players will do this with all those hands I was referring to, and some worse ones still as well, trying to generate maximum fold equity, which is a good play, because if it's getting us to fold ace 9 suited, which is would be the best hand, like say they have ace 8 off, or they have like 7-8 suited or something, like they're really making a brilliant play because they're getting us to fold the best hand. So I mean, I am a big fan if they actually had worse here. Very well played. But since it's the Storm, I think that you're still going to see a lot of people playing very face up, very straightforwardly. So like I think this big 3-bet is just going to say, hey, they have ace king, they have ace queen, they have pocket 10s, they have pocket jacks. They just have a huge hand that they obviously want to go all in with, and decide to just make a big 3-bet rather than go all in. But if they had gone all in, then we were very prepared to call them. But now that they did something that we weren't expecting, they just 3-bet half their stack, we can find a fold with our ace 9 suited. So that's what we do. Very nice hand, Sergi. Now we get the aces, next hand, on the bootin'. And say, interesting spot, we got a hijack open, we just flat. And the reason why we do that is, again, to induce a squeeze from the small blind. And also because the big blind has only 6 BB total. They have the 5K in the middle and then 5 blinds behind. So they could easily be going all in here. And when they do, the hijack could ISO raise them. They have like pocket 6s, they have like king queen. They're going to pile all the chips in so they can, get a heads up, most of the time. So we recognize that, and, it makes it for a very appealing spot to flat aces, because then they would just jam right into us, and we would be able to get a double through them plus the big blind stack. So yeah, we're just setting up that sort of situation to happen if the DB actually has something worth going with. And then obviously the hijack still has to have a value hand that's, you know, worth ISOing with. They could have like Queen 9 suited, or, you know, just like, yeah, like pocket, yeah, pocket 2s or 3s could definitely ISO. But yeah, I mean, they could have something like, yeah, like Jack 8 suited as well. So like that just would not ISO. Obviously they'd fold, we just get the big blind, but whenever they have anything, you know, worth ISOing, yeah, we win heaps this way. Whereas when we 3-bet, they may just fold, you know, something like pocket 6s or king queen, because it looks pretty strong when we 3-bet. So we flat, small blind, big blind fold. We see a flop. We got an 8, 5, 7, 2 diamond board. They bet like 2/3 pot, and it's pretty dry out there. We don't have a diamond. You know, I don't want to see a diamond, 6, a 9, a 4 on the turn. A lot of bad cards. So we just pile it in, and, you know, try and, yeah, just either win the pot right there, just get all the money into the flop. We're happy with that. They can still call with plenty worse. And they just fold. It's fine. We ship a decent amount of dip, and increase our stack significantly. And now we have the ace deuce here on the hijack, and we decide to open it up. Yeah, we're just feeling kind of feisty. It seems like the table isn't playing back enough. They, yeah, are just on the tighter side, on the more passive side. So we're just, you know, kind of recognizing that, you know, are more in tune with the game flow, and decide to make the most of this opportunity, you know, and just start raising a lot more hands, you know, stuff that we would normally fold. Like generally ace deuce is going to be a fold here on the hijack, but with the stacks the way they are, you know, it's a fine open, you know, very comfortable getting it in against the button stack size, only with 3 blinds behind. It's kind of a side call against the small blind, but yeah, we would be committed against them with an ace, and yeah, because they only have 9 blinds, and they easily could be getting it in with king jack, king queen, you know, hands that we are ahead of. So, you know, we're fine getting it in with them. It's whatever. And yeah, we just expect the cutoff to fold a fair amount. Not gonna be flatting a lot on that, you know, slightly less than 20 blind stack. And we're prepared to take it to the streets with the big blind, who we have a pretty similar stack with, you know, and we're in position with an ace, you know, and it's just your average storm player, you know, so we feel more comfortable playing push flop against them. So that's why we open it up, and they do indeed flat. We get a 4-7-3 2-heart board. We have a gut shot and the backdoor flush draw, so we bet it, and they call. And we get a 5 on the turn, so it completes our wheel, but it also puts that 4 to a straight. If they have a 6, they have a higher straight, so we definitely want to just check it back for pot control. You know, we can value bet the river comfortably, and that way we can induce some bets from worse, and that's what they do on the river. They bet out, and we can do nothing but call. Yeah, raising is just vastly overvaluing our hand. The only reason we would ever want to raise there, I guess, is to fold out a 6, because we have the ace of hearts with the nut flush blocker. When the deuce of hearts comes in, complete the flush. But that's just kind of like too advanced, in my opinion, for, you know, this kind of situation, because I just don't really, you know, realistically see a 6 folding, you know, enough to make that worthwhile. And so we have a straight, we might as well just call. And they just indeed turned a 3 into a bluff, and we, yeah, ship some more cheddar, and the day just keeps getting better. And we got momentum on our side, so we got the queen 10, feeling good, and we just 3-bet this under the gun raiser. You know, we make it a little less than 3x, and, you know, under the gun is going to be raising a stronger range. And we are, what, on the low jack. Looks kind of strong again because we got, you know, several players left to act. We're still, like, relatively early position, so for us to be 3-betting them means we got to have something, right? And we got a queen to 10s with blockers to, you know, like, legit hands they could have, like ace queen, queens, 10s, you know, king queen. So, yeah, we just bump it up. And, yeah, even if they have, like, ace 10, which, again, we block, you know, it's hard for them to really call. Hard for them to call ace jack, you know? Ace queen's not even, like, a very comfortable position. So that's what's great about these, you know, 3-bets, you know, when you are in, like, early mid position and you 3-bet an early position opener. You know, like, they are in a tough spot, you know? Even if they have something like jacks, you know? Like, they are not excited about 4-bet getting it in. Like, you know, we're never going to get it in with 10s there, really ace queen, you know? They're just hoping to be flipping with ace king and are usually going to be crushed by queens plus. So again, it's like a good move to have in your arsenal to, you know, 3-bet light, you know, middle-ish position against early position raisers. But you don't want to do too much, because then people will see it for what it is, and, you know, you'll end up spewing a lot. Because again, you have to keep in mind, you have several players left to act behind you that could show up with a real hand, which is why, you know, this is, you know, it's not very standard, but it's something, you know, that is reasonable to do from time to time. when the players at your table are not playing back at you enough, and that's why we deemed this was a reasonable time to go for it. And so we also have, again, the same stacks here on the cutoff and button, only 3 blinds and, about 8 blinds. So Queen 10 is going to have good enough equity against both their all-in ranges there. Again, always getting in and behind, but, we're happy to gamble, with, some reasonable equity, whenever they decide to go with it. They have ace king, ace jack, pocket 9s, pocket 8s, we're in okay shape. So, we bump it up, and under the gun just lets it go, and we just keep steamrolling over this table. Ace 7 off, under the gun +2, we open it up. Again, no one's playing back at us, so we might as well just keep putting the pressure on. Big blind calls, we flop an ace on the ace queen 4-2 club board. Could c-bet, we generally will, but again, we're trying to induce bluffs from players. Maybe they put us on like low pair, like 9s, 8s, and they have, just like king 7, just want to give them an opportunity to bet at it, so we just call them down. But, still a lot of merit in betting the flop since there is a flush draw out there. We're always going to get called by Queen X anyway, probably some 4X, So, yeah, probably betting is better, but, there's still some merit in checking behind if we really think our opponent's going to bluff into us a lot. And we get a jack of clubs on the turn, no bueno, puts out, straight through to a flush, so we got to bet to protect now after they check. And we do so, and they fold. So we ship some more dip, and we finally fold one. Now we got the ace-deuce suited on the cutoff, and got a min open here from under the gun +1, and we decide to 3-bet it up after we get a flat from the hijack. I just noticed some of these hands are out of order, it seems. I'm pretty sure this ace-deuce suited happened like before the aces. I think this happened like right after the aces and right before the ace-deuce off. I don't know why it's out of order. Regardless, we got to open and a call, and we just figured that this is a good enough situation for us to squeeze. We have suited ace, we have the ace blocker, less likely they have ace king, ace queen, aces. So we 3-bet in position against 2 players, make it like slightly under 4x, and obviously going to be folding to any 4-bets, but again, happy enough getting it in against the small blind and big blind. Suited aces are going to have decent enough equity against whatever they're going with, and the fact that we're 3-betting while obviously committing ourselves against those stacks should look stronger in the eyes of the 2 players that already put chips in the pot. So we will generate some more fold equity because of that. And and we just get it through the original razor and the hijack flats. We flop an ace on the ace 8-9 2 club board, and goes check. We decide to check back because we don't really want to like bet get it in on the flop there with just top pair and worst kicker. They could easily show us like ace jack, ace 10, ace queen for sure. So we just want to check back. We don't really want to have to bet fold either, Like they could just be check raising us with like a club draw, like king queen of clubs, something like that. So or even like jack 10 for a straight draw, like they could, there's a lot of draws out there, so we don't want to have to bet fold top pair if they just have a draw. So we just check back, and we get a jack on the turn of clubs, puts that through to a flush, through to a straight. Not too excited about that board when we just have like the weakest top pair possible, but they check again. So that kind of is good news, because if they had a better ace, they definitely would have bet it to protect because of all the draws. And if they had a flush, if they had the straight, if they have a set or 2 pair, they're going to bet as well. Again, like they don't really want to see another club or a 10 or a queen or a 7 roll off. So we just decide to bet here and try and take it down, because we just figure aces is best. A pair of aces is Gucci. It's the best possible hand, so we ended up just shippity dipping it in for a little more than pot. About 141 into 122. Just give them the worst possible price if they have, like some sort of 10x, king x of club, king of clubs, queen of clubs hand, and just if they want to make the mistake of calling it off with their draw, they can. We're happy to take that sweat going to the river because we know that we would get it in, with the best hand. And we're very happy just taking it down right here too, because we nearly double our stack whenever we just ship the dip in the middle, and that's exactly what we do. So it's kind of a risky play. Wouldn't necessarily advocate doing this all the time, but I mean, as played, like I think this is an okay way to play it. But I mean, again, it's all about the 3-bet pre. If you feel like it's a good opportunity to 3-bet pre, like if you think you have actual fold equity, like you can get both players to muck their cards to your 4x 3-bet, then go for it. But if you think that they're like at least one of them is going to call like a significant percentage of the time, and you're going to have to play a flop, like then don't 3-bet, just fold. But I just thought that I had enough fold equity pre. I just figured it was an okay spot. And now that we got called, we gotta play poker. We have top pair. It's not an ideal scenario to be committing all of our chips, but at the same time, like once we break down all the factors in the hand, it seems like we probably have the best ones. We might as well just get all our chips in there, hope for the best. And thankfully, yeah, they didn't really have much, and yeah, we nearly double up. And now we got 6-jack suited. Min open for the low jack, 3-bet easy fold, 6-7 suited. Ace-10 off now on the button. We open it up. Oh, we just jam. I mean, because the blinds both have hardly anything. Like the small blind has, around 13 blinds, and the big blind literally has 2.5 blinds, and they somehow fold. Like they have one blind in the middle, about one blind behind. Unbelievable they fold here. But that's the Sunday storm for you. That's why this tournament is so worth playing. People are just making fundamental errors out the wazoo, as my mom would say. Shout out to my mom. She's awesome. Taught me so many cool phrases over the years. Ace-3 suited here. Whoa, we're getting so fancy. So under the gun +1 opens, and we just decided to 3-bet under the gun +2 because hey, it was working before. So might as well just keep putting the pressure on the table. Think it's fine. So yeah, that's what we go for. Yeah, suited wheel aces, definitely good ones to have in your light 3-bet range. And under the +1 flats, we get a 10 deuce 9 rainbow board, and we completely miss. Checks to us, toss out a c-bet. Around a third pot, they call, get a 7 on the turn. Doesn't really improve our hand whatsoever, so we just give up because that really connects with a lot of hands they could have. I mean, like Jack-8 suited is possible, I guess. I mean, like it's not like the most likely candidate for opening. I mean, yeah, they should be opening Jack-8 suited. It's a reasonable open under the gun. But like when you get 3-bet from an early position raiser, I don't think you're always gonna be calling it. But it's possible they could have it. But I think more likely they have like pocket 10s or pocket 9s. Like that makes a lot of sense to open and then just flat 3-bet. I think flop a set and just slow play. There's no flush draw on the flop, no reason to check raise. Could definitely see that. It's possible that they had king queen here, called pre, and then just missed. And they called the flop on the 2-overs in a inside straight draw, but then got a bluff when they miss. So it's definitely possible. Same with like Jack Queen suited, but I think those are like the only two hands really that we can expect to see here that we're ahead of. They could have like Ace-10 suited very easily. Could even have flatted Jacks or Queens. It's certainly possible. I think you're generally going to see Queens 4-bet get it in, but some people will flat Jacks. It's not the greatest spot to be 4-bet getting it in pre, so I think flatting is reasonable, right? Like, let's see. How many chips did we start off with? So they had 30 blinds. I mean, I guess you probably would see Jacks 4-bet chip in with that, whatever. They had 33, 35, 35 blinds. Yeah, I see Jacks getting it in. Queens probably as well, I suppose. Yeah, so I think they could easily just 4-bet chip in. That's reasonable. But definitely 10s or 9s would flat. I think that's a bit too spewy for them to be just 4-bet jamming that in pre. Anyway, yeah, we get to the river, and whatever they have, I think it's better than us, so that's why we fold. So very nice hand, Mike Dub. We got suited. Hijack opens, button calls. Yeah, we're getting almost 5-1 in the BB. The hand that can make it straight and flush, so we defend. 7-10-4, rainbow board, no diamond, so we easily can we check folding to this button bet because we completely miss. Ace Queen off now on the button. And we're gonna open from the low jack, and we 3-bet with the intention of getting it in against them since they only have a little less than 20 blinds to start the hand. They could even decide to 4-bet get it in with Ace Jack here. Some players just go buck wild with king queen. You know, some worse. I've seen ace 10, king jack. It's possible, but I think they're just gonna fold a lot too. We ship what's in the middle, which is a great result. Sometimes they'll call, yeah, and then we can just, you know, get it in on some boards. Yeah, but you know, it makes it way easier when they fold. But yeah, with 20 blinds, yeah, I mean, like, we could flat. It's fine. I like it a lot more if the blinds had like maybe like 15 to 20 blinds and can easily just squeeze in over top. But since both blinds cover, when we flat, they're likely to just call behind. And if they were to 3-bet, you know, we're in kind of an icky spot. We don't really want to be back raised, should be dipping it in with ace queen. You know, it's kind of too awkward of a situation. So it's better to just 3-bet. And then if they 4-bet, we can easily get out of the way because we know they're nutted. So yeah, I think, yeah, just 3-betting here against the 20 BB stack is certainly best. And take it down, pretty standard. 6 cents suited. This is a potentially raisable hand. Yep, we go for it on the low jack. And the BB defends. We get a ace queen jack 2-spade board, and we check back. We decide to play this weakly. I think it's a fine check back. You know, like, there is, you know, some potential for betting and then just barreling off because we have ace queen, ace jack, you know, pocket ace, pocket queens, pocket jacks. They don't have any of those hands. So, like, if we were to bet the flop and they just call and not check raise, we can be pretty confident that they do not have a very strong hand. Like jack queen probably would be check raising here. King 10 could check raise. I could see them flatting it though because it is the nuts. But, you know, there's a lot of draws, so some of those stronger hands probably want to be fast playing. They could have ace jack. That's possible. I mean, I guess it's like, you know, within the realm of possibilities that they have ace queen as well, but a lot of players will be 3-betting that, and ace jack sometimes as well. So we can discount those hands at least. But yeah, I think maybe just betting the flop and then barreling any heart turn is reasonable. So yeah, I mean, if you just barrel off on like any run out, it's pretty spewy. So that's why we decided to check back. You know, we have 7 high and an ace queen jack board, not a lot of, you know, real equity, so we just are done with the hand. We don't really want to commit any more chips to the pot. And we get an ace on the turn, they lead, so yeah, really easy fold. Yeah, it's definitely standard to just give up there. But it's definitely reasonable, I think, to bet the flop and continue on any heart turn. Maybe like any non-king or 10 heart, because obviously they could easily have a straight when there's 4 straight on board there. After they call the flop. And now we got a button open, we defend in the big blind with ace 7, pretty standard. Flop top pair, ace jack 4, 2 club board, yeah, standard call of their c-bet. Get a 10 on the turn, not the greatest. And they bet, and that's why we just let it go. It's a very committing amount. They bet like near pot, like 5-6 pot, and that's about half our stack. So I think that they're only betting with better hands than ace 7 here. Don't see ace 6 or ace 5 doing that, you know, like king jack, queen jack. I don't think so. I think they'd be checking those hands back either on the flop or on the turn. The queen jack, the king jack. I think, yeah, ace 6 or ace 5 would bet the flop, but then I think that they would probably check the turn or bet less. So I think when they bet large on the turn here, they have, yeah, ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, ace 4, ace 9, possibly. Ace 9 or ace 8 I think would bet less or maybe check as well. But regardless, they're still better hands than us. And they could have king queen, and I think the only, pocket 4s I suppose they could have as well. And the only hand that I think that we're ahead of is a flush draw. Maybe they have, yeah, like probably like a combo draw, like king 9 of clubs, queen 8 of clubs. Those hands make a lot of sense. They just want to, you know, put the pressure on, you know, hopefully get us to fold, but they're fine getting it in if we decide to, you know, check raise, you know, for the remaining half of our stack because they got a lot of equity, plenty of outs on the river. But I think that they're going to be weighted more towards value than something like that. So ace 7 is just a pretty easy fold. 10-9 now in the big blind. Folds to the button they open, and we defend. We flop middle pair on the jack 7-10 rainbow board, and just check call on the flop here with our middle pair and gut shot straight draw. They bet a little more than half pot. So they could have Jack X here. They could have like King Queen, Ace Queen, King, Ace King, all with straight draws. King 9 makes sense. Again, like Queen 8, something like that. I feel like 10x or 7x probably checks the flop. And we get a 5 on the turn, and then we do something unconventional. We decide that we do not want to call another large bet, but we do think that we may have the best hand. So we kind of just do something that, I guess is labeled as a donk lead, because, I guess you'll see a lot more amateur players do this, just lead to see where they're at. But at the same time, you'll see some good players do that as well to be balanced, because they will be inducing sometimes. And, you got to have, like, pairs and straight draws or just, like, some sort of non-nutted hands to balance out when you do have the nuts here. Like if we had like 8-9, we could potentially lead here. If we didn't feel like check raising the flop because it looks strong. We do have the 9 blocker, so it has some merit. But against some players as well that just don't hand read, that great. They could just call here with like again like the King 9, the Ace Queens, and not really want to raise our bet, and potentially get shipped on with just a draw. But they obviously have some equity, so they're going to be calling. So we basically just like putting out this bet to test the waters, see, like how they react to it, like, how quickly or slowly they call or raise, and then we can kind of base our decision on what is best to do from there. Again, against really good players, it's not a good idea to do this. They'll see right through it, and they will put the pressure on you and raise you when they don't have it, because they can probably figure you'd be, weak more often than not. But against, your average Storm player, just like a fun player, people who, again, don't hand read that well and, aren't, gonna see this for what it is, they are going to probably call here too much rather than raise, and that's great for us when we have second pair and a straight draw. We want to see a cheap river. That's the thing, like they bet 34k on the flop, and we're betting like 20k, like a little less, on the turn here. So, we're only betting like 20k into like 126, like 1/6 pot. It's a very small bet. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense. But at the same time, if you don't think that people are gonna like, put the pressure on you, or like look you up, or like again like see it for what it is, then it's a good play to make, because then you get to see a cheap river. But again, it's not a standard play by any means, and they call. And then we get a jack on the river, pairs the board. I think that it's going to be better for us to check here. If we really do put them on King 9 or Ace Queen, Ace King, we want to check and let them bluff those hands if we really felt like our pair of 10s was best. Excuse me, and now that we have a jack pairing the board on the river, our 10 really could be best. So I think it's going to be better for us to check and let them bluff, but in-game I was just like, I don't really want to check and be facing an all-in, so we're just going to bet fold and maybe get looked up by worse. They could have something like pocket 8s, pocket 9s. Those hands actually make a lot of sense to c-bet the flop kind of large. They have a straight draw, and maybe they just want to fold out like overcards. If we had like Queen 6 or whatever, they don't want to just check and let us make a queen or something. So we just lead here again. Really small, like a little under 40k into 160, about a quarter pot, a little less. Expecting them to maybe call us with worse. If they have the 8s for the 9s, they somehow have like 7x. It's possible they have like 10-8 as well, which we would actually be, ahead of, because, our 9 would play on this board. And we figure, if they have a jack, they're always raising, so we can comfortably fold. What's pretty sick, though, is that they could have like King Queen here, King 9, and then decide to put the pressure on us, put us on 10x, because it kind of looks like that's what we have, and then raise the river. And that would have been unfortunate, because we would have had to have folded. So I think, our turn bet's kind of cool when people, like, when you're up against an opponent that's not going to play back at it appropriately. But I think, as played, it's probably going to be better for us to check the river and let those hands that we, put them on the turn, the draws, bluff. So we put out a block bet, just didn't want to pay any more than this on the river. And thankfully we just get it through. But, I think it's going to be better for us to check the river as played. But hey, whatever, ship the dip. And so on that note, we are going to end part 3 of this $11 hand history review of the Sunday Storm, and be back for part 4. Hope to see you there. Hope you guys learned a thing or two from this. And yeah, until the next video, shippity dip out.